In this episode, we will be discussing the male feminist, possibly the most pathetic thing to have ever crawled across God's green earth. Now, despite feminism appearing to be a man-hating supremacy movement, there are indeed men who think they should become feminists too, and it's not by any sort of accident.
Men, I would like to take this opportunity to extend your formal invitation.
Not in the slightest, in fact. There are famous feminists who are inviting men to join feminism like lambs to the slaughter, and they're being applauded for it. But why do these men become feminists? Well, while they have many different rationales for this, these broadly fit into three overarching and often overlapping themes. The first and easiest to explain is that they aren't really very good at being men. They're very effeminate, they're very camp, they're not masculine, and so being a feminist is pandering directly to self-interest.
I need feminism because in a world governed by the current gender roles applied to men and women, I would not be very successful at that. If all of a sudden I found myself time-traveled back into the 1950s, being married with 2 kids, having to provide for the family, having to make all the decisions completely for everyone in the house, oh god, I would not do well at that at all. I'm shy, I'm passive, I'm definitely not good at making decisions for other people. That would be bad news bears. I need feminism because I'm not very good at being a traditional man. Feminism.
As cringe-inducing as that was, it's at least easy to see why people like this guy need feminism. He probably would benefit a great deal by tearing down the current gender paradigm. The second type of male feminist is the type who is simply really well-meaning. He just is so sorry that he ever caused you any inconvenience.
Yeah, no, I'm not a feminist. I just believe in equal rights, is something I said about a year ago. Little did I know, that is feminist. A couple of years ago, I used to make a podcast called the Man Time Podcast, ironically named. This isn't the best way to start a conversation about feminism. I used to make a podcast exclusively for men, but we did used to make jokes about feminism and stuff like that. And I used to have the opinion, bloody feminists, and things like that. These are the things I used to say. And it doesn't feel like it's me anymore. And if you were offended by the way I used to be, I apologise.
Not only do these guys all look like they're from the same upper middle class family, they are so sorry. They are just so sorry. They cannot apologise enough. Now, don't be mistaken. There's no way that these guys have ever actually done something wrong. They are far too worried about potentially doing something wrong, or even potentially offending someone, to actually have any legitimate guilt. These are the really nice, really soft types who are afraid of asserting themselves in any way, shape or form. They don't want to leave an impression on the world because the world might not have wanted them to do so. These are the guys who are completely harmless. The third type of male feminist is the male feminist that has done something wrong and feels guilty about it. And so to expunge the guilt, they have to convert you to the religion of feminism. Which of course means that the best place to find the guilty male feminist is in the atheism plus movement.
If you are not a feminist, you are a sexist by definition.
That was atheism plus heavyweight Aaron Ra, attempting to just simply assert that if you do not claim you're a feminist, then you must be a sexist. Why? Because he is afraid that he is a sexist, and he wants to make sure that he isn't by declaring himself a feminist.
I was raised in a very sexist environment, but I don't think I was ever sexist myself. Although it may be that we all are, and it's just a matter of degree. My wife describes me as roaringly heterosexual. And I'm visually stimulated as men typically are. So I have objectified sexual partners, I'll admit to that.
So he thinks that we're all sexist to a degree and that there's something wrong with objectifying a willing partner. This is why these atheism plus guys have become feminists. They need to cast out the demons of sexism because they feel guilty about it. They shouldn't be sexist, they know it. But they know that they are sexist. And what else could they do than become feminists? Because, as Aaron Ra said,
if you are not a feminist, you are a sexist by definition.
But the ultimate destination for the relationships of a feminist man is to become cuckolded in an open marriage. As I write this, my children are asleep in their room, Loretta Lynn is on the stereo, and my wife is out on a date with a man named Paolo. It's her second date this week, her fourth this month so far, and if it goes like the others, she'll come home in the middle of the night, crawl into bed beside me, and tell me about how she and Paolo had sex. I won't explode with anger or seethe with resentment. I'll tell her it's a hot story, and I'm glad she had fun. It's hot because she's excited, and I'm glad because I am a feminist. And this is because of feminism. Monogamy meant I controlled her sexual expression, and not to get all women's studies major about it, patriarchal oppression essentially boils down to a man's fear that a woman with sexual agency is a woman he can't control. Before my wife started sleeping with other men, I certainly considered myself a feminist, but I really only understood it in the abstract. When my wife told me she wanted to open our marriage and take other lovers, she wasn't rejecting me, she was embracing herself. When I understood that, I finally became a feminist.